Hello and welcome back to Seen, Known, Paid. I'm your host, Marina Gergis. In today's episode, I have a very special guest. She is one of my best friends and truly a genius when it comes to sharing her unfiltered self on social media and making a lot of money doing it. Today, we're going to dive into how my friend Kiki Athanas does what she does best and how she has grown her business into a successful seven-figure business. Kiki is a women's health expert redefining weight loss through the next evolution of intuitive eating. She blends neuroscience, grounded spirituality, and real lasting results through her signature 10-10 method. And we will dive into the 10-10 method and her successful relaunch of this program and how she grew her business. So let's welcome Kiki in. Hi, Kiki. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello. I'm so happy to be chatting with you.
I know, me too. I feel like it's been a while since we chatted, but I love you so much and I'm so happy you're on the podcast because if there is one woman who I know does things her way and doesn't care about the rules, she throws out the rule box. The rule box? Is that what it's called? The rule book out of the window and does things her way and is still successful. It is you, and you inspire me in so many ways. And before we dive into how you do all that, I want to learn a little bit more about what what inspired you to start this journey of coaching, and especially with your 10-10 method and the program that you created that is now like a viral movement.
Thank you. Well, as most coaches know, we coach what we had to heal for ourselves. So I struggled with disordered eating for many, many years of my life. There's actually a term for what I was dealing with, which is orthorexia, which some people aren't still familiar with today, but essentially an obsession with clean eating. And I always say it's like an obsession with healthy eating that becomes unhealthy. And I went through so many different kind of healing and therapy modalities to try to figure it out. At first you do have to acknowledge that you have a problem. I think I had a problem for many, many years, but I didn't really see it as a problem, being in my 20s, and I was really thin and I didn't care that all I did was think about food and think about restricting and exercising. And I was like, whatever, I don't care. I want to be thin. I want to be hot. But eventually it catches up with you and you're like, okay, I think I actually have a problem. And I went through so many different ways to try to overcome it. And I just wanted to be in a body that felt like mine, that felt right, that felt like I could be proud of and confident in. I felt like there were no answers for me. Like, okay, but I do still want to be thin. I felt like I had to give it all up and either go into this like body positivity or like, oh, intuitive eating, but all sizes, all bodies, whatever. And not to say that that doesn't hold value too, but for me, it just felt like, oh, I have to choose one or the other. And eventually I came across a coach that I had worked with, and she was the first person to kind of tell me, no, of course, yeah, you want to be slim, but also like your eating is disordered, and we need to fix that. And so I went through her program and various different programs that really focused in on gut-brain connection, healing. I was suffering with a lot of IBS, so I really dived into that. And then, long story short, I started sharing it, to be honest, for free with friends and family. I would run like free Zoom meetups with other women before everyone was on Zoom, before COVID. And then it became like an exchange thing where it's like, oh, I have a candle business. Like, can I come in your program? I'll like give you some candles. And then candles turned into cold hard cash, and my favorite. And then eventually I was like, okay, you know what? I just want to do this and quit my job because I think I can make it work. And then I did. And here we are. It takes 10 years to be an overnight success.
Right. Something that caught my attention about what you're saying, and I know this about your brand and the very magnetic social media presence that you've built, is you mentioned body positivity. And this is what's gonna either take people out of this podcast already at the beginning, or they will stay because they're curious about why you said what you said. And what I love about you, Kiki, is You are not scared to say the thing out loud. The thing that people need to hear, but they don't want to hear. And as the self
Mhm.
proclaimed shadow work queen, and I know you and I talk a lot about shadow, like this is a big part of it, is when you claim the desire out loud. I want to be slim. I want to
Mhm.
be skinny. And you use that word even though we're
Mhm.
in a state of like, oh, don't use that word. This is whether
Mhm.
people believe in your, I call it the brand religion or not, or the way you do things.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter because you believe in it, and there is a group
Mhm.
of people who believe in it. So I'm very curious about how you approach this, and like, was it a conscious thing that you're like, I want to piss people off, or like, no, I really believe in this. I don't care if people come at me.
Yeah. So I went about it for the first few years, very vanilla, very kosher. My program wasn't even a weight loss program. It was genuinely like, do you have issues with food? Like, let's
Mm.
heal. And because that was what I have always been so passionate about. It was like, oh my God, like you were in the prison of diets and your mind when you could be in your body enjoying your life, right? Like, let's open up that
Mhm.
time and space. And so I would have never said, anything to do with weight loss and being skinny and any of that jazz. But then a couple years in, I did realize that, people are losing weight with this method. And I was like, okay, well, yeah, that makes sense because they're coming back to their innate bodies. Like they are coming back to their equilibrium. And then I remember I was working with someone and she was like, oh, like, let's do an exchange. She was like, I want to be a skinny bitch like you. And I'm like, oh, like, and I remember feeling like, I'm not a skinny bitch. Like I've always been big boned, like whatever. And so that wasn't even something that I'm like, I'm not even skinny. And she's like, no, like I want to like teach me how to be a skinny bitch. And I was like, no, 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 that's not what this program is about. Like that's not what I do. And she just really helped me see that it was like, oh no, like Kiki, I want to be like you. And I see you and you're thin and confident and like, give me what you got. And that really got me thinking of, oh, interesting. I wonder if it'll be easier to sell people because to be honest, it was tough to try to sell people on this like, there's such like inner work that we need to do together and it's not about the food. And sometimes it would resonate, but it would bring in, to be honest, a lot of people that are just like, they just want to gush about their problems and sort of therapy addicts and, self-development junkies. And it was exhausting.
Mm.
And then I worked with this woman, via an exchange and it was fun. And she was just like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. And it really just got me thinking of, interesting. Can I sort of, and the funny thing is I didn't change the program at all. Right. But it really got me thinking more so from a place of marketing of, what about instead of kind of dealing with or sort of almost trying to be like a therapist right out of the get-go. I can keep all that stuff in the program because I do think it's really helpful. But why don't I just give the people what they want in terms of, when they're signing up? I'm like, yeah, I get it. Like you want to be hot, you want to be thin, you want to stop thinking about food all the time. Like, come on in, you're welcome here. And then again, most of the time when people come into the program, they're like, oh, wow, it's really not about the food. And so I do kind of joke that it's a little bit of bait and switch or whatever the term is, smoke and mirrors, whatever you want to say.
Yes.
I don't feel like I'm doing anyone a disservice, but the truth is people will invest in, which is, I don't know, sad or not, but they'll invest in wanting to get hot and thin. Will they invest in just like healing the inner wounds? I don't know. Less easily, let me tell you that. So once that I realize that works, I'm like, I don't care. I'm like, if it's going to get people in the door and I genuinely believe in what I'm doing and I genuinely think it's good work, then if marketing it makes me feel tacky or offensive, I don't care.
Mm. I think it's the furthest thing from tacky, but also offensive is based on who you're talking to. Because I did a little bit of a deep dive. I already know your content, of course, because we've been following each other for a while, and I watched some of your content. But before the podcast, I did a little bit of digging, and I saw this one comment that was like, and I've seen it like repeated in different formats. It's like, you said the thing that people are thinking but not saying out loud. Another one that caught my attention, and yes, I'm a Scorpio, I do my digging, was like, Kiki, you are a prophet, okay? And it's interesting because in our personal conversations, you and I know that you go deeper than just food. I know that what you give people is way deeper. It's a way of living, it's a way of being, which you really truly embody. Even if you don't go on social media and say, this is how I embody X, Y, and Z. And I love that about you because it's genius the way you've approached it. But I'm very curious about these, like, you're a prophet comment. And I believe that maybe these are like some of your clients, because I know you have amazing client reviews. Tell me what goes into like 1010, like, how are you a prophet?
I am a cult leader. No.
Honestly, the
Drink
only
the
person that
Kool-Aid.
should use that is you, like, because you actually know how to do that. Tell us more.
No, well, you know what? I think it's because I really do give the power back to the client and the woman signing up. And I think that makes them feel like, oh, wow, Kiki, you're a guru. Like they can look up to it, but it's only because we're all a mirror, right? And so they're seeing the truth that they know and feel. I'm guiding them there. And I know I felt the same way about the coach that I worked with through a similar program. I mean, I have since sort of obviously changed it. I was inspired by her program, but I kind of put together different things based on my own journey. But I think when you actually stop trying to be the leader, the prophet, the guru, whatever, that's when you become the guru. Like people know that when they come to my Q&As and things like that, I'll not poke fun, but I'll poke fun at myself in ways of like, well, like here's how I'm figuring it out. But I ask questions. Like I give them the power back and I give them the mic back. And I think that really makes them feel like, oh, wow, like this is something big and magical and powerful, but it's only because they're feeling what's already inside of them. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know exactly why people feel that way about me, because if they know, and if they come into 1010, they know I'm not like, okay, girls, you're wrong. This is what's right. Like I never try to be a guru. I ask a lot of questions and I let them be the guru for themselves, because that is actually what's so key with healing your relationship to food. It's about owning your body, your choices, and giving yourself the authority back, because we've been stripped of it. And I'm sure that you can already connect the dots on that as it relates to marketing, branding, all that jazz, right? Like you need to own your own authority and your own voice. And I think once people hear that and they feel that, they're like, oh, wow, this is something really big. And because I'm saying it, they just assume like, oh, okay, therefore, like she's great. But it's actually because deep down they know they're great.
Right. And deep down, a lot of people are thinking the things that you're saying, they're just not admitting it. Because in some of your content that I've watched is like, oh my God, like I said it earlier, it's like you are saying the thing I've been thinking out loud. And that scares so many creators of like, oh, if I said that thing out loud, like I call it the spicy POV, if I say it out loud, if I say these thoughts of what I actually think of the industry, or like do any in type of industry critique, or like you do like diet critiques or anything like that, like people will hate me. I'll lose paid clients. I'll lose followers. I mean, was that something you were worried about at the beginning? I know you transitioned when you went from vanilla to like spicy.
Yeah, I think there was probably like an hour in the first day that I was like, oh,
Just
like
1 hour.
yeah, honestly. And again, I can't remember it, but I'm assuming I'm like there was probably a couple minutes that I was like, oh, but like, what about if Sandy_97 doesn't like me, right? But then I got over it. I think that here's what's helped in my very unique case. When I really started going all in on this, I was actually living in Mexico City. And so I was away from my home, from the people that I knew. I've always been a very independent person. I think it would be very different if I lived in a small town and I go to my coffee shop and everyone knows me and I'm like, oh, high school friends, oh, but I always felt very like an outcast not in a bad way, like in a way of like I'm doing things on my own over here, and it's probably part of my avoidant tendencies that I think that I actually have healed and overcome by now. But I think in that period of my business, it actually kind of served me because I didn't care. I was walking around places where I'm like, I don't know anyone. And so, I mean, even in Mexico City, when I would do some of my first videos, I would be walking, I still remember on Amsterdam, that little, that spiral in Mexico City, and I would just be, shooting the shit. And then, and then in Greece, I could just always say whatever it is that I wanted. And I didn't really worry about what people would think because I'm like, I sort of saw online life and real life as two completely different things. And I didn't actually realize this until coming back to Toronto in this last year or so, where some of my friends are kind of like influencers or they're influential people and they're very well connected. And then therefore they know other influential people that are also very connected and some of them that I follow. And I remember it was the first time in my life and in my business where I was like, oh God, does that person hate me? Because like this person over, that I'm meeting, who's friend of a friend, who talks about, all size, body positivity or, healing your hormones through making sure you eat a gazillion grams of protein, right? And that's their whole thing. And then, oh God, like they know me as this very over the top figure that's kind of saying like, F your protein diets, right? And so I think that if my circumstances would have been different, I might have been a little bit more, I might have muted myself or diluted myself a little bit more, but I'm really happy that I didn't. And I also recognize now, and I always tell people, like when I meet them and they find me on social media, whatever, I'm like, that is a caricature of me. That is, a part of me, but it's not truly me. And I think, Marina, the true me, and you're in my small circle of people that actually do. And there's parts of me that are obviously real. And it's not like I'm coming on there and being like, okay, now I'm going to be my fake self or like tell lies, but I'm channeling the performer part of myself. And so I don't feel like I'm like, hi, this is the truth of me. And therefore I don't feel vulnerable. I'm like, whatever. If you don't like me, it's sort of like if I was playing in a movie and I played this character and they're like, I hate that character. I'm like, okay, like it might, it doesn't necessarily feel good. It's like, oh, you hate the character I play? Like, that's kind of whatever. But I'm also like, whatever, it's a character I play. So I don't take things personal.
I love that. And what we hate is how a certain character makes us feel about ourselves because we're projecting back onto them. And that's what I always tell my clients and I tell my people. It's your projections because when Kiki shows up and says the word skinny or says the word slim or that bodies, I know one of your things is like, bodies are not meant to hold excess weight. What does that mean about me? And like what I internalize about that. And this is something really important to remember about being our most authentic self online. It doesn't mean that we're sharing everything about our lives and like, like how you and I, like you are one of my best friends. So it's like we have a very close relationship. That doesn't mean that you're going to be how you are in our relationship as online. I think what you said about channeling the performer is a big part because people confuse authenticity with performing this part of themselves, like performing the prophetic like guru if you want to, or performing the contrarian. I remember one time when we were all we were in Greece, we were having dinner, and we talked about Nara Smith, not to make this podcast about her, but I remember we were talking about, like, everyone had a different opinion on the dinner table about Nara Smith, and, like, is she performative? Is she authentic? And I was like, it doesn't matter if she's performative or authentic. She is performing this fantastical, like, dreamy mama vibes, in her couture and her soft voice. And it's like, it's an authentic part of who she is, but not the whole of who she is. And that is okay to bring that into social media. So I love that you have like created a clear distinction here. It's like, okay, social media gets like, this like 15% of myself that I actually really like and I want people to experience, but not the full self. That's for my loved ones, for my family. And this is a very healthy divide. And I love that. It's still vulnerable. It's still authentic. It's still you, but it's not in the way that is like, people want you to like come on and like cry about your life. I'm really against all that. I'm very curious if you remember your first viral video, like if you remember what happened and what like took something off for you.
I honestly don't. I should know this. All I know is that when I started, it was on TikTok. So I had
Okay.
Instagram, but I remember I was like, okay, TikTok feels again less pressure because I don't know anyone on TikTok, so I can just I can be this version of myself that I'm going to start presenting and ideally monetizing. Whereas Instagram felt too personal. I was like, okay, all my friends are there. So I went on TikTok, and it didn't take long. I remember I really committed to. I watched Robert Greene. He does like how to become famous on TikTok and use social media, whatever. And I think he had like a $99 course, and I did his little course, and he was like, you have to post 3 times every day on TikTok. And I was like, okay. So I did that. And eventually, I mean, I swear to God, even if you did the worst videos, trust me, if you do 3 a day for like a month, something's going to go viral. Even if you're trying for it not to. So I will say that I did note that the ones that did go viral, and this was probably why I went in the direction that I did, were the ones that I were more aggressive, almost came off as like a little bit more angry, more intense. And again, I think that there is something maybe sad about. I remember reading a book, I can't remember what it was called now, but he was talking about how anger and aggression and violence are what people stop at, like people stop scrolling at, which is again very sad. I'm obviously there's nothing really how can I bring in violence into intuitive eating, so that wasn't a thing. But not that I specifically went in like thinking this, but I just noticed, I was like, oh wow, he's really right. Like the videos where I am more aggressive and almost come off as angry, they all do better. And I'll talk to some of my friends about this, because if I ever notice that videos aren't necessarily grabbing a lot of views or, essentially becoming viral, it's because I'm just starting to be kind of too nice and a little too wishy-washy and a little too like, yeah, I get you, boo. And as soon as I get straight back into stop being a fat bitch, let's go, we need to get skinny, here's how, boom. Like I know now the secret sauce. If I go through videos and I'm not noticing any of them are hitting more than like 20K after a couple days, of like back to back, and they're all kind of getting stuck. For me, it's like, I don't know, if they get stuck at like 5K views, whatever, I'm like, okay, I need to bring back the sass. And I do it. Like there's a couple of key things that I know I'll say in a certain way. And again, it'll piss people off, and people will say, oh my God, you're so mean. How dare you address these topics that are so sensitive, and we're dealing with these topics in such a mean way and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, I do it because that's what's going to get me views, which gets me clients, which helps more people. So get over it. Sandy underscore 97.
Yeah. And I would reframe the violence to polarity, because it's polarity that makes people either agree with you or disagree with you. And that's what get people to like view it, share it, because they agree or disagree. And at the
Yeah,
end of the day, the people who agree are the people who tend to convert into clients, because they're like, wow,
totally.
finally someone said it. And
Yeah,
obviously, this is not everyone's style. Like, some people sell by being very agreeable and
totally.
very, like, I don't know, fairy like and goddess energy. Some
Yeah,
people sell when they're like sassy and a little bitchy and say the
yeah,
thing out loud. And
yeah.
again, like, I'd like to reframe bitchy to like just saying the truth, like say it like it is. And
Yeah.
I love that. And that's definitely, I'm sure that is a big part of this success of like 1010, your signature program. Tell us a little bit about that, because your program is, you've been selling it on repeat, I don't know for how many years now, and it's usually sold out. You've made so much money from this program. Tell us about your bread and butter, 1010, like the method, like how are you selling it, relaunching it?
Yeah. So so I first started out selling it as a group program. And then for whatever reason, I don't actually remember now why, I decided to kind of do it one-on-one. I think when I was doing it as a group the first round, it was kind of, that was when I wasn't necessarily selling it. I was kind of like, okay, like guys, like I know this really great way where we can, heal our relationship to food and feel amazing, and our bodies look amazing, whatever. And so I think in my mind, like, okay, I'm a coach now. I need to get a client. I need to sell a client, whatever. So I would do it one-on-one. And then eventually, after a couple of years, it was this second or third time I was living in Mexico City, where I was like, I can't take on any more one-on-one clients. Like it's my calendar is full. And so then, even though it felt like a step back for me to go into this like group program way, I just had to reframe it for myself of like, no, this is me growing. This isn't me becoming, like tacky or like, oh, now I'm just jumping on the group program train. This is the only way that I'm able to continue to do this and like really help as many people as possible. So I did it as a group, 10 weeks, because that's almost 3 months. And honestly, this sort of stuff doesn't take a long time to learn. Like, I'm never teaching you anything that you don't know. I'm literally like, you were born knowing all of this stuff, but someone needed to put it together in a like a little blueprint and be like, hey, we're gonna walk you through it step by step because you've forgotten literally how to eat normally and deal with life and all of these things. And so it really is a two-prong approach of, okay, here's actually how to eat. Because I found that a lot of these sort of intuitive eating programs, like healing, all that just, they wouldn't get into the specifics enough. And I was so disordered with my eating that I was like, I've lost the plot. Like, I literally need someone to tell me, like, is it okay to have the whole sandwich though? Like, is that normal? Like, also, if I want to be slim, like I needed someone to be like, okay, this is how it works, right? And then meanwhile, also deal with all of the stuff that surfaces when we start to remove food as the coping mechanism, as the buffer of life, right? And to have, I don't like to say tools or strategies or modalities, because that's my whole thing. I don't do tools and strategies and, oh, okay, what's a practice to do when you're feeling this way? That my whole approach is like, I don't want you to feel like you need a toolkit, like wherever you go of like, oh, okay, let me just like use my toolkit of things. It's like, no, let's clear out the gut of these non-value-based beliefs that are creating you to use food out of order. And so anyways, I say this because both of those things need to happen in tandem. And whenever I was going through kind of trying to figure all of this out, it felt like one or the other. And so, yeah, I basically teach you how to put the food back in order and then deal with whatever comes up, because a lot will come up as we go through it. And then I've since put together a DIY version of the program just to make things a little bit more financially accessible for women if they, can't afford my support throughout the journey. A lot of women do end up upgrading into the high touch support program. And then some people do want to work with me one-on-one right from the get-go. Some people go through the 10-10 program, group program, and then decide, no, I want a little bit more hand-holding coaching with Kiki for this other stuff that's coming up now that I've kind of put the food back in order. So different ways, but yeah, it's all sort of happened based on need. Like, I never went into any of this like, this is going to be my plan. It was always kind of like, okay, I think this is what's going to work for me right now. And then I would get certain feedback of whatever. Like, basically, I put together my 10-10 group program, and then a lot of women would be like, I can't afford it. Like, I'm a student, but right? And all the I was going to say excuses, not excuses. It might be completely valid, right? And then I was kind of like, okay, well, how can I still give them something? And then 10-10 DIY happened. And then I would have clients that were very successful through 10-10, and they'd be like, yeah, but Kiki, I'm in your alumni program, but I really just want to be able to talk to just you. Some of the issues that I'm dealing with are very personal. They're very specific. I think I need more time. And I was kind of like, okay, well, then here's the one-on-one if you want to do that after. So again, I would always just throw things together based on what people were asking for.
And that is a through line with everything that you do, is what you teach is intuitive, being intuitive with your food and with how you look at food and go about hunger, and also being intuitive with how you do business. And it's interesting because I just finished module 2 of Premium Presence, which is going to be my signature program and course. And I used one of your posts as an example of authority angles, because I see your content as authority content, and the way you do it is you set new standards. So you were an example of like setting new standards, and that post, I remember I saved it like when you posted it, and I was like, this is an example of how to do this. I didn't even know I'm gonna put that in a module, but I was like, this is an example of how to do this thing where it's like I'm setting a whole new standard of how to do things. And that is what like leaders do. And you're very intuitive with your business, with how you do things. And you've always told me like, I don't follow the rules. But okay, this one post was you were sharing about how you've helped like thousands of women, you've made X amount of money, and like without following like what the gurus say you need to do in order to be a successful CEO. And I really it struck me because it's something that I know you teach your clients in food. So it's like there is this I think authenticity in your brand is like this through line of like I do everything intuitively and do it my way. But I'm wondering if like you ever doubted yourself and you were like, well, I should follow this. I should do this. Was that ever a thing? Or like,
Oh,
were
for
you like,
sure.
no, I know myself. I know you're also a reflector in human design, which makes you a
Mhm.
unicorn. So
Mhm.
there's
Oh no,
that.
for sure. I questioned myself. At the beginning, there was a lot of like, oh God. I remember feeling um, really inadequate. A lot of my friends were also coaches or in that space just because I was a digital nomad. So a lot of my friends were also digital nomads and therefore coaches and all that jazz. And I remember once I was at this table and someone, it was a group of girls and we were all entrepreneurs, whatever. And someone said like, oh, so, what masterminds are you guys in? What's your, your quarterly strategy? Oh, what business coach program are you guys in right now? Blah, blah, blah. There was like all these questions where I was kind of like, oh God, I'm in nothing. I'm doing nothing. I'm learning nothing. I'm a complete failure, like whatever. But not to brag, but I'm probably more successful than most of the people on that table, right? But
Yeah.
now, who knows? I didn't follow up with a lot of them. But the point is if it's if you don't want to do it, don't do it, right? Like
Right.
I don't know why, but I gave myself that permission because I would notice that when it came to like, oh God, you should put together an Excel spreadsheet for this and that, and if you don't have this plan, and if you haven't hired this kind of support, then what are you even doing? And I just kind of decided to do things my own way, and that would always work and feel so much better. And don't get me wrong, I invested in my business, but I did it in ways that I just personally felt like, yeah, like that makes sense to me. Like, I don't know, like a photo shoot because I am vain and I love photo shoots. So I'm like, that's a valid expense, but it's because it made me feel good and it was like exciting for me. And if someone was like, oh, you need to do this course on like, how to better, I don't know, do like Facebook ads or something. I've never done ads in my life. Now everyone's asking me like, what's your experience with ads or what? I'm like, I've never paid for an ad. And so to me, I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to. And I don't know why people are so scared to do things like that because it's like, it's either going to work out or it doesn't, but you might as well enjoy the process.
Mm. And I'm seeing a connection here with how you grew 1010. It was based on what you were seeing. So you were responding to what your
Yeah,
clients are asking for rather than like, oh, I have this like
totally.
5 year plan for 1010 and this is how we're going to grow it to $1 million. No, it was like, I am
Totally.
responding to what's happening for my clients and giving them what they need. I believe that was also how you got into retreats, right? Tell me about retreats a little
Yeah, yeah. Retreats and as you were saying that I was even thinking about my membership program. I remember when I first launched that, I
bit.
only did monthly because I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like this. So I always gave myself the
I love it.
out. And same deal with my practitioner program, which I just
Mhm.
launched. Everyone was like, okay, can I join the next one? I was like, I don't know. Maybe there won't be another one. Like I literally might hate
Mhm.
doing this. So,
Mhm.
and that again gives me calm in the sense of like, okay, I don't like to feel super committed. I like to have a business where I'm like, I could shut this all down tomorrow. Obviously,
Mhm.
if any of my clients are listening, I bought a 3 call back. I'm like, by tomorrow, I mean, like, I'll give you a couple months but
Don't worry.
ultimately, and again, I feel like by giving yourself that, then you can choose. It's almost like now I'm getting deep, but I will get back to your question. I'm going on a tangent that I really want to go down.
Let's go
But even
deep.
like in a relationship, right? It's
Yeah.
like let's go deep, honey. And not that I'm a relationship coach, but it's how they say like, oh, yeah, like you get married, whatever. It's like you want to choose your husband every single day, right? Not feel like, oh, well, now I'm married, so I'm stuck, right? And I think it's the same
Mm.
thing with my business. I want to feel like I'm choosing my business, and so if I feel too locked in on something, then it's like, oh, I don't have choice, also the cornerstone of the 10-10 method, right? It's like choice gives us calm, freedom, joy, right? And so that's always how I've wanted to run my business. And if it ever felt too, like, to me, hiring employees, hiring this, but an assistant, but everyone was always like, oh, you'll get an assistant for that. I'm like, oh my God. And then I have the responsibility of an assistant, like, who's going to be, oh my God, like needing me to tell her how to assist me. Like, no, to me, that feels like, that's something that then I'm trapped. And again, I could reframe that for those who have assistants, whatever. Maybe I'll hire one, full permission to change my mind at any time. But yes, so retreats. That was actually really coming from a place of, well, two things. One, I actually did retreats years before I even was coaching with 1010. When I was living in Toronto, I did a lot of like media work, and I worked at a startup that they would send me out in different places. And I remember we sort of did a retreat. It was kind of with the startup, but kind of on my own. And it was in California, and it was so much fun. And I am a very social person. And so to me, it was just like fun. And that's always also been with 1010. Like, not to be explicit, but like, is it like a huge money maker for me? Like retreats and events and that kind of thing? Like, no. But I feel like it's really fun, and I genuinely meet the coolest, most amazing women. Actually, Marina, one of them is so similar to you. She's also an Egyptian background. Whenever I hear her voice notes, I'm like, it's Marina. And she's actually coming to my next 1010 meetup in Athens. I'm like, this is going to be so fun, since Marina might not be there. But anyways, another story for another time.
Publicly
but yeah,
on my podcast. Come out.
Public shaming. But anyways, so yeah, I mean, again, I've always sort of just done things for the sake of fun. And then obviously, if I can tell that it's going to be a huge moneymaker, I probably put more energy into it. I should hope. So yeah, for now, the retreat thing is, again, it's fun. I think it's interesting. A lot of people see that I'm doing retreats, and you probably get this too, Marina, and everyone's like always so interested. I want to do a retreat with you. Oh my God, I do retreats too. How do you do retreats? And they think they put retreats on such a pedestal. And I'm personally, in my own experience, I'm like, okay, like that's great. Like, just so you know, I'm not like, like sleeping on like a pillow made of $100,000 bills because of retreats. And I don't think I will be anytime soon. Will I continue to do them? Because I genuinely love meeting my clients and going in different places. And to me, it's exciting. Yes. So yeah, I don't know if that's an anticlimactic answer on retreats, but it's just the truth, honey. Yeah. For me.
I love that you honestly shared that, because this is a big misconception about retreats. I feel like retreats, they're like this big PR thing. You have to do them because you love them, and you enjoy meeting people and putting together and hosting. Like, I love playing host. I love like decorating, like creating beautiful experiences. But did they make me more money than my programs? No, absolutely not. And they should lead into something. Either they're bringing your clients into the retreats, like your 1010 clients into the retreats, or for me, like my coaching clients into the retreats, or out of the retreats into the program. But I had to learn this the hard way, actually, last year, hosting 3 retreats. I went crazy and I did 3 globally. And oh my God, did I like burn out doing that, because they didn't make that much money. They made some money. I made some profit, but not that much to justify like all the effort and everything that I put into it. So now I'm re-strategizing that. So I love that you shared the behind the scenes of retreats. So tell me a little bit about this certification program. You just launched that. How did that go? And why did you decide to branch out and go into this route?
So I did not want to for the longest time, but this is like the certification program. I basically am just continuing to have a little tantrum about it. Okay. But basically, women would take my program and bless their little hearts, and some of them would just start copying me and putting together their own little program. I'm like, that's my program, honey. Mm-hmm. And to be fair though, they were all like, Kiki, like, can I get trained under you? Like, can I hire you for business coaching? Like, is there a way that I can like buy the method off you? Whatever. And I would always just kind of fluff them off. I'm like, no, no, kind of like go do your own thing. And I didn't really give them the attention that they desired. So that was all, I take full responsibility. And so after years of women basically just asking and begging at this point of like, come on, like, and you know, a lot of them, they're therapists, they're coaches, or, you know, in other similar but related modalities, etc. And so it was one of those things where I was like, you know what? I don't even really want to do this, but everyone is asking, and I can't bitch and complain when people kind of copy or just do it and like reteach it when I didn't even give them another way. So I was like, okay, we'll give them a way. And it's very new. We're only in month 2. It's a 6-month certification program, but I am genuinely absolutely loving it. And to be fair, when I was putting it together, it was really, I think also just, if I may humble brag, really affirming for me to kind of recognize, okay, like this is how I coach. Because it really is about not only, okay, how to specifically coach and get trained in the 10-10 method, but also how to deal with your clients, like how to have these coaching conversations, how to, you know, build your business, how to market it, like all the different areas. But I think for me, I really needed that affirmation for myself of like, oh yeah, no, I really do have a very particular style. And I was surprised that I could flesh it out, and it actually feels so like tangible. Like I can just kind of put it in a box and be like, oh yeah, here you go. Like actually this is it, right? There is sort of a method to my madness. And it's been so wonderful. And a lot of the women in there, they've been in my world for years, and I coached them, you know, 3-4 years ago, and they've been implementing it in their life a little bit professionally already too. And they're really ready to be like, okay, yeah, I want to get certified. I have big goals of possibly having, you know, 10-10 coaches underneath me, taking on some of my one-on-one call upgrades. And so to me, like building that whole empire, dare I say, and having other women, you know, within it that can take off the workload, because hello, I don't like working very much. And so if I can have other women like do more work and me do less, then like, why not? And so, yeah, it's been really fun. And now I think I will do it again, because so far so good. But yeah, another thing where it was like, okay, I'll give you what you want, I guess.
Yes. It sounds another thing where you were just responding to the market instead of like, what do I need to do? The 10 steps to a successful empire building. What I'm hearing is you're building an ecosystem that allows you to do what you love doing more. And
Yeah.
maybe that is not even working, because if I know one thing about you, you have 10 appointments a day, and none of them are work appointments, okay? They're your nails, your spa, your hair. Trying to schedule a friend date with Kiki. Yeah, you have to schedule ahead of time.
Yeah.
But she'll
You're
make an
just, you're
exception
never
for
going to
me.
be a priority unless you're a med spa. Okay. Yeah.
I thought you were going to say, unless you're Marina. Oh my God. Kiki, okay, I'm going to ask you 2 more questions before we wrap up. Okay, what is the most underrated thing you've done in your business that actually created the biggest results, and you're like, whoa, like that was so easy?
Literally saying skinny bitch.
So just using that, I love that
Using
you
that
used
word.
something that a client also gave you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's
Literally
like,
just saying skinny bitch was so easy, but it was like, oh wow, like I could, because at one point I was saying slender, like, and everyone was like, obviously being turned off. They're like, no, I don't want to look like my 85-year-old, like dying, like grandmother. Thank you very much. And so I was like, oh, okay, skinny bitch. And then suddenly everyone's like, can I give you my inheritance? So yeah, that.
oh yeah, I remember like being next to you and you're like, oh yeah, I just got a client. Oh, this client just wants to work with me. And like, it's amazing how like you've created this ease of people just want to give you their money in exchange for like this identity that
Yeah.
they would step into. And that
Yeah.
is like for the people who are like studying this, like, oh, what is the marketing like strategy here? This is the marketing. Give the people what they want, then give them what they need, which I love that you're doing that. Okay,
Yeah.
tell me, what do you have coming next that you're excited about, that you want to share with the people on here? Any new
Ooh.
projects?
Well, you know, to be honest, my 10-10 program has been such a wonderful rinse and repeat, but in a really like a lot of people ask me like, oh, like, don't you get bored? Like you're just doing the same program. Honestly, I don't, maybe it's a collective consciousness. Like every group, I'm like, wow, we can go deeper and deeper, yet still in starting again. So I am always excited about my next 10-10. I do them quarterly. My next one coming up is in the summer. I always get excited about the summer one, but then the September one comes. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so excited for the September one. So I'm always excited for my next 10-10 group. It's always a completely different kind of mix of women. And then ultimately next year in 2027, I'll be launching another round of my practitioner training program. And it'll be quite exciting because I will have at that point 10-10 practitioners out there in the wild training and making a gazillion dollars helping women, and so I feel like, Marina, don't give me another project. Am I not doing enough? I have 17 appointments later this afternoon.
You're doing more than enough, my dear. I really loved everything you shared. I love you and I love what your brand and business is about. Like, thank you for sharing your gems and your wisdom, you reflector, you. Yeah, Kiki. And I hope to see you soon in real life. And yeah, thank you, my love, for
You're
being
so
here.
welcome. Thank you. Always such a pleasure to chat with you.
Oh, thank you everyone for listening. If you enjoyed this, rate it, share it, send it to people, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay vivacious.